All right, everybody, welcome to the notes for Monday. We are going to define some triangle definitions and eventually get in some delta math practice, which should be in your note packet. So to start things off, we have triangle. The definition of a triangle is a polygon that has three sides. The next is a new definition, the angle sum theorem, which states that all three of the angles inside of a triangle have to add to 180 degrees. So no matter what the size of the triangle, all of the angles inside of it, this guy, and this guy, have to add to 180 degrees. Revisiting some old definitions, an acute angle is an angle that is less than 90 degrees. So if you don't remember your greater than or less than signs, you might want to write that in your notes with it. Less than 90. An obtuse angle would then be an angle that is greater than 90 degrees, and then the right angle, which is equal to 90 degrees. If you are not done copying the notes, you can pause the video before I move on to the next slide. And again, as we move forward, if you need to pause the video to make sure that you have all these notes written down, you go ahead and do that. Most of these are revisiting things that you know from geometric terms from middle school. So a scalene triangle is a triangle that has all three sides that are different lengths. You'll notice that these little marker indicators on the triangle, when they're on the same, when you have those markers on the same side, it means that they are congruent or the same. You'll notice that this scalene triangle has three different line indicators, meaning that all three of these sides are different, as well as the angle indicators. This one has 3, this one has 2, this one has 1. So that shows you that those are all different in measure, which is what a scalene triangle has. Our next triangle is an isosceles triangle, and this is when you have two sides that are of the same length or congruent, and as well as having sides that are of the same length and congruent, they also have angles across from those congruent sides that are equal. Equilateral triangle that we have here is a triangle that has sides that are all of the same length. If you look at the picture and the diagram, all three of the sides have one line indicator on them, meaning that they are the same length. So when looking at classifying triangles based on side lengths, we are looking at scalene, isosceles, and equilateral. When we're looking at classifying based on angle measures, we're looking at acute, obtuse, and right. So to look at the most obvious one, a right triangle is going to be a triangle that has 190-degree angle. You'll never see more than 190-degree angle because remember, all angles must add to 180, and there's got to be 3 angles in a triangle. An obtuse angle is going to be a triangle that has an angle that's more than 90 degrees, but less than 180. So anywhere between 90 and 1, well, I should say 91 and 180. And then an acute triangle has all 3 angles that are less than 90 degrees. So all of the angles are less than 90 degrees. So you will be asked to classify based on side length and angle measure. Again, if you don't have all those definitions down, please pause the video before you move on to the next slide. And now we have some in-class practice. So identify the type of triangle and provide reasons. So again, when you notice that it has markers on the sides, you're classifying on side lengths. When you notice that they have, when they have indicators on the inside like the angles, that tells you that you want to be classifying based on angle measure. So if we look on the left side, all of these we are going to be identifying based on side, and all of the triangles on the right we will be identifying based on angles. So if we go back to our definitions, we're again looking at scalene, isosceles, and equilateral. So we know isosceles has 2 equal sides, equilateral has all all three equal sides, and scaling has none that are the same. So when we're looking at this practice, this first one is going to be an isosceles triangle. Okay. You guys get the gist. Isosceles. I'm not going to write that all out. This guy on the end is going to be an equilateral triangle because, again, if you look, it has all the same side lengths. And then this middle triangle, because none of the sides are marked to be the same, they could have done us a favor and put all three of these line markers here to show that they are not the same. However, with the lack of there being anything there, you know that none of them are the same, which by definition means that they have to be scaling. So first one was isosceles, second triangle was a scaling, and the third triangle was an equilateral. So if we come over here and we look at classifying based on angles, this first triangle, we have a right angle because, well, if you look at the diagram, this guy right here is our little box, our little square that indicates that we have a right angle. So immediately we know it's a right. Remember, acute have to have all three angles less than 90, which if you look at this middle triangle, labeling them all right here, we have 38, 87, and 55, which by definition, that was our acute triangle. And our last one, once you see an angle that is bigger than 90 degrees, remember it was from 91 to 80, that's going to give us an obtuse triangle. So if you did not get those down, pause before we move on to the last slide. And now you guys will be working on Delta Math. Now the Delta Math won't be online. The paper will be printed out in your note pack. So if you turn to the last page of your note packet, there should be a bunch of practice problems to work on. There will be an open note quiz on Friday. Your one pager is basically your note packet. This is also going to be collected by the substitute. So make sure that as the days go on and there's more notes you are completing, because you will use them on the quiz as well as turn them in for points. Hope you guys enjoyed the video.